last couple of hours at least, and I got to turn your mics on because we got snickering in the background, and that was the Ron Rademann snicker.
Well, it's great to see you back, Jerry. It's always not that we didn't mind the other guys, but we missed your smiling face.
This is like deja vu.
It's like back in the 80s or 90s or 50s or 60s or something like that, huh? So,
18 or 19?
Yeah.
You kind of wonder. Anyhow, the voice you hear, Ron Rademann, the show brought to you by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. Master Gardener Carol is with us. Are you hearing it now?
I'm hearing it now.
Okay, good. And I got to see which mic you're on, so speak.
Speak.
Okay.
I am speaking.
Now I know which mic you're on. It's one thing Sean did tell me, but I forgot. Anyhow, call your questions in, 923-1450, 1-888-900-1450. You can email them in to kfizstudio@gmail.com. I'll get that thing punched up here right now, and then if you got any email questions, we can field them that way as well.
Or send us... email us pictures too or photos.
You can do that.
So that sometimes helps us on some of these,
like
on the tough questions.
Here's what my leaf looks like. What have I got?
Well, you probably don't have any leaves quite yet.
And they could even send the pictures but still talk to us, which helps too because then we can ask them questions.
That's true.
Yes.
That is very true. So modern technology.
I know.
Anyhow, just a reminder, we can only receive one call at a time. So if you call in while somebody is talking, we don't have the technology to answer your phone and put it on hold because I would have to turn all of our mics off in order to talk on the telephone. So if somebody is talking to us on the phone, wait till they're done and then call in, right?
Or almost
Perfect.
done.
Or almost done. Then we can go to it. Otherwise, it's just going to do the ringy-dingy thing. So anyhow, good to have you join us on Landscape Smart. Good to see you guys again. This is like we said, like the old days brought back.
Yes, it is.
And what's been happening? Tell us about Rademann Stone and Landscape.
Well, Rademann's is not open on Saturdays here yet at this time of year. It's still, we're on winter mode at Rademann's at this point in time yet. Now that'll change here soon. We kind of really never know when. As we look out the window, you can usually almost tell when we're going to be open on Saturdays, but not open on Saturdays here yet right now. Generally, and we are, of course, still open Monday through Friday till 4 o'clock. So that part still works.
And you're still selling stuff.
And we
Selling
are.
stuff.
Yeah, nowadays we stay pretty busy through the winter. It's not so much, shredded dirt and grass seed and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, we actually do, the things have changed in the world and where we used to be shut right down for the most part, just somebody in there answering the phone, putting out the fires. And now we keep a, sales staff on all year round. Joe is around there most every Saturday, and of course Monday through Friday also. And Joe does Joe worked he worked in the landscape field and did installations for actually one of our customers until he retired and wanted he was maybe wearing himself out. I'm not exactly sure, but he's still pretty fit. I know that. But he's got the experience that helps, because if you walk in with a question or a problem, he's already done it. So he can tell you, what you did wrong the first time, and that's why you're coming out to Rademann's to, just to figure out what you did wrong. So,
and also, I would
come out before you get started, and he'll get you started.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is probably really good planning time.
Yeah, it really is a great planning time, and we have been getting quite a few calls as far as that part of it goes. And, because people, they want to get organized, and, and the weather is a little variable at this time of year, down to, what did you say, 14 here this morning?
Yeah, it's 14, feels like one below.
Yeah, and I mean, and you look
And yesterday, 55.
and you look out the window, and it looks like it's 55 out.
Uh-huh. Go outside. You'll know it isn't.
It was
So-
really, really windy though yesterday.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
tough.
it seemed colder than it was
Yes.
yesterday
Yeah.
because of that wind, but that must have blew in and out. And
Traveling was a challenge for high-profile and even lightweight vehicles yesterday, traveling north and south.
yeah, there was actually a landscape trade show this past week down in northern Illinois, Schaumburg Convention Center. So I was there together with Joe and Brock and Reed and Zach, the whole Rademann
The
team.
gang.
And so, I drove back through that, and all of a sudden you're whipped to the other edge of the lane you're in, when
Yeah.
those gusts come up and the bigger box semis traveling down the road,
They had a real problem.
they were doing a lot of weaving in between. So you had to definitely had to be alert coming through yesterday. But that's what we need is at this time of year is got a little rain and then the wind, and it gets the frost out and dries things up a little bit. And so
I have a Carol question.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
It's an indoor question.
Indoor, okay.
You
we
up for-
are indoors.
Yeah, but my question is indoor based. I repotted a couple of bromeliads and a couple of, what are they, peace lilies? Is that canna lily?
Calla lilies there are, yes.
Whatever. And when I purchased the stuff to go into the bigger pot, I don't know if I goofed or not. I bought a bag of stuff called potting soil.
Well, that's
Or
generally
potting mix, not potting soil. So it's more like peat moss with little white chunks in instead of dirt. I obviously kept the dirt that the plants were in and put them in the bigger pot and put this around it. But should I not have used that? Should I have used regular potting soil? Do I need to take that out and put some potting soil in, or is this going to work out okay?
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that really because I do not do a lot of indoor plants.
Okay.
So, but you left the soil around the roots and
Yeah.
everything. That's probably enough. So I think either way, did you compare the two? Do they look that much different?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they do.
Oh, yeah. One looks like peat moss. The other looks like mud.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like there's perlite in it. If you had the
A little
white-
bit. I mean, not a
little
lot.
white, right,
Specs.
which
Just
just,
a
helps.
Yeah, I
That's
think
probably the one I would use that has a little bit of perlite in it.
I think you're okay.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to do is kill them.
Well,
right.
the only thing you might have to do is water it a little bit more. But being in a bigger pot, you actually water it a little bit less. So
Because it seems to retain. I watered them good after I transplanted them. And a week later, I'm feeling it and they're still damp. I thought, okay, this is a good thing, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't change anything.
Okay.
I think you're fine with
Okay.
with that.
So I got lucky with my almost mistake.
Well,
Because that was totally new to me. I've never repotted anything in my life.
And
Well,
if there's
it-
somebody else out there that knows more about this than I do, you can, give us a jingle too.
Yeah, indoor.
Maybe Patty's listening. She does all sorts of inside
There
planting.
you go.
Pot planting, I should say. Yes.
Patty potty planting.
Oh, we don't want to say that way.
923-1450, the number.
get on to a different subject.
Yeah, no kidding.
But the other thing is with when there are so many different soils out there now. At Rademann's, we kind of keep it simple. We have garden mix and shredded dirt, depending on if you're putting it in a garden and growing vegetables or. But because we have it in bulk only, I never, I would say in most cases, if you only need a 3 or 4 or 6 cubic feet of soil, go pick it up, locally. And of course, we try to promote our local garden centers, so try to go to, Hensey's or Stewart's. And I always get myself in trouble when I start doing this because I don't mention all of everybody I should, but Hounsel's, the berry patch, help out our local people and go there and grab a couple of bags of that stuff.
And if I can put an addendum in here, going there, is beneficial because they are so knowledgeable of our area.
Well, and the other thing is when you go to those, if you go to a big box, they might have 20 different types of planting soil, potting soil, I mean, I walk through that, those areas occasionally just to kind of get a feel for what's going on in the industry. And I go to these trade shows and things like that. And I think they purposely try to confuse you so that you buy a bag or two of something, you get it home, it's not what you want. So you throw that in the dumpster and go back and buy a couple more bags because you don't know what it is until you open it up. And, I don't know, everyone has a different name for potting soil, planting soil, repotting soil.
I noticed that.
And one will say it's for indoor, one will say it's for outdoor. Well, it doesn't really matter. You can use indoor soil indoors and outdoor soil, reversibly in either case. And for the most part, like I said, I think they just try to get you to stock 2 bags of everything so that you have 40 bags in your garage instead of the 2 or 4 that you really need.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true of the fertilizers. You don't need one for just that one particular flower that you have. There's generic. They're all kind of the same to begin with, but there's every different kind of shrub and tree and whatever. So you get really confused easily. Yes.
All righty, tell you what, we'll take a break while we're waiting for our first caller at 923-1450. Rademann not open today yet.
Rademann's not open on Saturdays, but, we are open Monday through Friday till 4 o'clock at this time of year. And if you can check us out online or at rademann.com or give us a call on Monday, 922-7612.
Be right back. And just as simple as that, we are back. KFIZ News Time 8:25. Welcome back to Landscape Smart, brought to you by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. Ron Rademann himself is here. Carol is here, Master Gardener. We're ready to answer they are ready to answer your questions. 923-1450, 1-888-900-1450. And this, again, we talked about as the show came on, the kind of the spring training edition, but the real season is just around the corner, Ron.
Yeah, we're going to do today's show, obviously, and then we're going to skip a couple weeks, and then we'll start up for good on whatever that
22nd, I think it is.
Yeah, it would be the March 22nd. And then we'll go every week from spring, summer, fall, winter.
We do it all.
We do it all. We have a caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Yeah, I was going to call in. I planted onions last year for the first time again that, in many years, and it worked. I don't know if it was just because I planted them from seed, I meant. And then they really grew well. But I was going to let everybody know that out of Young's magazine, I planted this Red Wing hybrid. It's a red onion, and they probably got as bigger than a baseball, and I still have some yet, and they're hard. They're very good yet, and they kept, usually my red ones would be done after about, 6 weeks.
So you actually harvested these in the fall, and you've kept them all winter, and they're still good.
Right, I have those, and I grew a Patterson, and I know them from seed too, but I did buy a bunch, yet from Hounsel's, just to, make sure that the ones that, I grew from seed actually grew. But the ones I planted from seed, too, they got as big as the ones that I got the onion plants from.
Did your Pattersons keep well, too?
I still have some of them yet, too.
Where do you store them?
In the basement, and it's kind of basically almost like a old type fruit cellar underneath the steps. That's what it was. And
So it's quite cool?
Decent, 50. It's probably 55 degrees somewhere, maybe 60.
That's probably really good. I had been bringing mine in and putting them in the garage, and then I figured out that it is way too warm in the garage in the fall like that. So I took them down to the basement the last 2 years, and I've also had a lot of luck. My basement does not cool down a lot, but I hung them from the clothes bars because it's dark down there most of the time, and boy, they really did well. So that is my plan for this next year again.
But like I said, that Red Wing, hybrid, and that's kind of the reason I thought I would try to do it again is, you get to try something different.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have like a half a dozen of them left yet.
Well, that's amazing. And good. That's good. Yes.
And I maybe should have started them already. Kind of got a little busy. I figure either today or tomorrow, 1st of March. I don't know, is that when you start yours?
Yeah, pretty soon. You could wait just a little bit longer, I think, but they'll do really well. You're going to start them under the lights or something?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Heat pad light, and then I would bring them up during the day, and set them up in the sun, and then take them back down and keep them under a light at night and stuff.
Okay. Well, sounds like you're doing well.
Do you think, though, it was probably the best onions I ever grew? Do you think it was just because of all the rain last year, the hot weather, and then getting drier towards the end, or after the 4th of July?
I don't know that it, as long as they get enough water to survive,
Mm-hmm.
The amount surplus onions can, if you have them in a lower level, lower area of your garden, they can get too wet and then start to go bad even before you pull them out. But it's not a usual thing. If you plant them to the right depth, you can see the top of that onion and you can kind of like check if it's, you don't want it to be losing its turgor. I love that word. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, hopefully everything works out again this year.
Good.
Well, good luck, and you got your planting sessions going.
Right, thank you.
Just quick question. Is that a sweet onion, or is that just a regular?
The Patterson is kind of more of like a harder yellow onion.
Okay, so it's more of a cooking variety then.
Right, because, it just seems like your white onions, they don't last.
Mm-hmm.
For me, they don't last as long either.
Okay.
Your yellow ones, they're a harder onion.
Mm-hmm.
Now that Red Wing, that one, how is that? Is that a sweeter one also, or is that?
I think so. I don't know. We put it on salad and then goof around, trying to pickle them, make a jar of pickled ones and try all different, different kinds of vinegar to see which tastes the best in it.
Alrighty.
Good. Keep us posted.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, alrighty. Good luck with it. 923-1450, 1-888-900-1450. Lines are open if you have a question. Just like this one, planting time.
Well, and this year, it's going to be a little bit different, I'm sure, than last year, because last year we kind of had a record start up to spring.
Mm-hmm.
It warmed up and we were almost starting already with projects outdoors here the first part of March last year. And, this year I'm sure is going to be, because last year was just, very unusual. Even if we revert back to average, we're going to be a few weeks behind. So, whatever you did last year, you do, it may be different this year, just, because last year, if you tried some of the longer season crops and things like that, they had plenty of time to get started and get finished last year. So, that is where, and that's the days to finishing are important when you're looking at starting things from seed like that. And I'm sure onion doesn't really matter so much, but
An onion, not so much, but those cool crops. 2 years ago, we had our first junior master gardener get together, and we were going to plant the cool crops. That's your cabbages, your kale, all those that really like cool weather as opposed to hot. It was 95 degrees the day we planted that. It was mid-May. They didn't do well the whole rest of the year. They were there, they grew, but they certainly didn't grow with a lot of vigor. This past year, it was the opposite. It was really cool when we put those out there, and they were happy with it. It took a long time this past year for the tomatoes to get started because it was cool a lot of times. So
We had a
there's
long
lots.
spring last
We had a
year.
long spring. Yes.
Yeah, it started early, but it didn't get hot.
No, it
was
did
just-
not get hot.
But it wasn't. It was.
And those are all things
50
we have no
instead of
control
40,
over.
and-
Yeah, I will say on a personal basis, my tomatoes were really good last year, and I had more pickles than I've ever had in my life. It was unbelievable.
Right.
Well, and some things like pickles where they reblossom, that's if you got you get started a few weeks early and you get an extended season, they'll just keep blossoming and keep
Yeah.
producing. So that's why you
Went through a lot of vinegar last year. A lot of dill. My big problem is always the dill is ready long before the pickles.
Right.
And then try to find dill when you got the pickles later in the season that you want the can.
Yeah, but you can pick your dill and then, because the little seeds dry out and they still have all that flavor when you stick it in the jars. It doesn't necessarily have to be really green when you do it.
Don't need the greens. All right, let's grab another call. Good morning. You're on the air.
I am trying to get a hold of the radio station. I keep on getting a contact line, but now I got you.
You
So I
got
don't know
us.
if
we're still
I don't
working
know
all
what
the
I
bugs
did
out
this
yet.
time.
So that's why we do this show.
I am just looking out at the courtyard here in my complex, and I don't see any plants. But the lady next door has them all on her porch. Now, I want to know what kind I can have out there when it's this kind of weather that doesn't freeze.
Oh boy.
Are you talking a house plant that you want to move out?
She's moving her stuff in and out all the time, so yes, I imagine they are house plants.
Okay. Well, it probably helps them out, but it sounds like a lot of work.
Well, and if
Yeah.
But she's very much into greenery, so that's not too much work for her.
I don't know if it's going to work real well when it drops down to 14 degrees like it is right now outside. There's a big difference.
She didn't bring them out yet, so I think she's waiting for the little temps to go up.
Yeah.
She might have to skip today.
Today, yes, and a couple more days maybe. Yes.
But yeah, you could take them in and out as long as it's staying above freezing.
Right.
You're fine, and you might be able to keep
So
them
I
out
want to
for.
know what kind are not so susceptible to the cold.
Well, I've never really thought about it because I don't think about people necessarily hauling them in and out all the time. I don't know. What do they look like to you? Are they ferny or?
Yeah, some of them. She's got a whole bunch of them. Some are ferny, and some got wide leaves. I don't know what they are, and she just moved in. I don't really know her yet. That'd probably be a good way to get to know her.
Yeah, why don't you go knock on her
Yeah.
door today and see what they all are?
I mean, generally, anything if it's staying above freezing temperatures, you'd be okay moving them out. So you just have to move them back in if it's going to freeze overnight again.
Right.
And you got to be a little, it sometimes it'll Jerry will tell you it's 33 or 34 degrees. Well, it might be 30 where you're at too. So you got to kind of work off of about 35 or 36.
We have 20 degrees here in Chilton right now, and they said that it's 22 degrees different than yesterday.
Right.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and in Chilton, you're getting a little closer to Lake Michigan, so it didn't
and we're
drop
supposed to
down
get up
quite
to-
as low overnight.
We're supposed to get up to 26 by 3 o'clock.
Yeah, so don't put them out today.
Nope.
Right.
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 I
All
think
right.
you need to
She
make
does
a visit
She
and
does
then let
not-
us
She does
know.
not leave them out overnight. She takes them in all the time.
That's probably a good plan this time of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably you might be able to get away with a couple days at a time if we get into the right week, or period of
And
week.
now, since Farm and Home is closed in Chilton, other than Honeymoon Acres, what would be the closest place for me to get my little plants to get started?
Well, Honeymoon Acres is a great source. They do a real good
But
job
that's in
of it.
Halsey, and I'm in Chilton, and I can't get out of town.
Oh,
I don't really know that we might have to rely on some a listener to call in with, because I
Yeah.
don't really.
don't
Maybe
either.
Jerry, maybe Jerry Schneider knows.
I just talked to Jerry. He was trying to help me get on the line.
Oh.
For the last 2 weeks, I've been trying to call in a birthday, and I keep on getting his context line.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get
And they
this all
say
straightened
they
out.
say it's a glitch.
Okay, well, good luck with your plants and good opportunity to meet your neighbor.
Yes,
Yeah.
go over there and talk to her, and then maybe she has a car
Yeah,
and
would
she
be a
goes
good-
there
that
often
would
to
be
buy
a-
plants.
No pun intended, but that would be a good icebreaker.
There
Yes.
you go.
Oh, there we go.
With the forecast for tonight, that might be the case. Hey, thanks so much for your call and good luck with the plants. 923-1450, 1-888-900-1450. Before we move on to our next topic, let's move on to a commercial break.
I suppose we better squeeze one in here.
We should.
So, I guess it's, again, as we said earlier, Rademann's not open on Saturdays. We are open till 4 o'clock at this time of year. And if you want to stop on out and get the planning process started, just 3 miles south of Fond du Lac, and the easiest way is to work your way off of Highway 41, so we're just a quarter mile off the highway.
KFIZ News Time, 841. We are back. Landscape Smart, brought to you by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. Ron Rademann here in person. Carol, Master Gardener, here in person. The button pusher is here. Landscape Smart on. It's kind of the hour between the pair of chairs.
Something like that, huh?
I like that.
The little Jerry St. John early, a little Jerry Schneider later.
Mm-hmm.
And the good news is Karen is back answering phones this week.
I suppose that makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's all excited to be back. Yep, she's nodding. Yep. She's nodding. 923-1450, 1-888-900-1450. Lines are open. Give us a shout. And KFIZ studio at gmail.com. If you want to be bashful and email it to us, you can do that. And we've got a caller, so let us hit the phones. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, another Chilton caller.
Okay.
The lady that called there, you can go to Millhome Gardens, which is south of Kiel. And it's on Rhine Road. And there's also an Amish place just north of Honeymoon Acres on the west side of the road. There's just a driveway there and a little sign, but it's hard. It's easy to miss, but I get a lot of things there.
Good ideas.
Let's hope she's still listening and heard that.
All righty. Hey, appreciate the info. Thanks for calling and sharing.
Yep, you bet.
Take care. Whoops. They hung up already. 923-1450. Give us a call back, and we will be happy to talk with you. All righty. 923-1450, 1-888-900-1450. Those are the numbers, and we got a caller coming in. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, I'm putting in some raised garden beds this year, and I was wondering if I could put some pine branches in the bottom for mulch.
You have me a little confused. So you want to put those in the bottom and then put soil over the top of them?
Yes.
Just to make that airier down there, or why would you do that?
For the not use as much soil.
Okay.
Uh-huh. I don't know if I would do that. I think I would have because that's going to break down, and you could, whenever you start dealing with pine and
pH.
you end up with the lower soil pH. It could start messing with the soil pH. So you want to be a little careful with any, pine or pine needles. And so I think I would steer clear of that. It would be better, or if you even wanted to use, I guess more of a clear stone would be the better way to do it, or, even it could even be small rocks and things like that you've gathered up. And then you should probably have some landscape fabric to separate that. So put your stone in, and you could, I don't know, you probably could use, cut up chunks of wood or something That would be better than, pine or pine needles, though. And then you'd have to put a landscape fabric in between that and then put your soil on top of the landscape fabric. Because otherwise it'll just kind of silt right in between there, and it'll be constantly settling on you.
Yeah, the pine's going to deteriorate fast, and then you're going to have not enough soil in your...
And you should separate it. Put a separation layer in between of landscape fabric. And that way your airspace will stay below, and you'll have the soil won't. Otherwise, every time you water, it'll filter down in between there, and you'll kind of defeat your purpose. But that would be the better way to do it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, then.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for the call,
Thank
and
you.
good luck with the planting project. 923-1450. Again, a reminder, because there was a couple of lines ringing. We can only answer one at a time, so the best time to call is
Right now.
Right now, yeah. When nobody's here. Or toward the end of a phone call when you hear somebody saying, like, thank you, then you know.
Start dialing.
Yeah, start dialing. You had something you wanted to bring up.
Well, a couple things. First of all, we're again doing YouTube, so I'm not exactly sure when we're going to have this episode up and listenable, or watchable, whatever you want to call it. But you can search for Landscape Smart. You'll find last year's episodes on there, and of course, you can't listen to last year's March, and we talk about, because things are different. So you can't always say, well, if it was March 15th last year and March 15th this year, you're going to get a whole different pipeline of information. So it doesn't hurt to listen to those older episodes, but kind of keep in mind it is seasonable each year. So we are on Landscape Smart on YouTube, and I think you can search for Landscape Smart 25. That'll get you into this year's episodes, and we will be doing that throughout the season again. So I'm not exactly sure when we'll have this episode up, though, but you can.
But it's coming.
It'll be coming, yeah.
Yeah, it's coming.
We're not quite up to.
So's Christmas, Ron.
Yeah. Well, we kind of threw this one together here just in the last.
It was
days,
a quickie decision.
Yeah. So,
And a good decision.
Yeah, kind of the forerunner of what's yet to come.
So yeah, and then we'll start in with the regular shows on March 22nd.
Yep.
So
Every Saturday.
every Saturday.
Every
Every
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah. And you had something about Master Gardeners you want to not forget.
Oh, well, it's Junior Master Gardeners, because we have a program out at which is now the Fond du Lac County campus, but the extension people are still out there, and we plant a garden with kids in the summertime. So if they are between the ages of 8 and 12, boys or girls, makes no difference. The little program's going to be mailed out to different areas, so look for it, or you can call out to the campus if you have a child in that range who would like to do some gardening this summer.
And I have a gardener question. Are you doing a sale this year?
Yes, Master Gardeners will have their plant sale this year.
Okay.
Right.
That's always important to know. All righty. Before we go dormant, let's take a break.
Okay.
Okay. Again, Rademann's not open yet on Saturdays, Monday through Friday till 4 o'clock. And you can visit us online at www.rademann.com, or otherwise give us a call, 920-922-7612, or stop on out just 3 miles south of Fond du Lac, east of 41 on B.
KFIZ News Time, 8:51, the final segment of this week's edition of Landscape Smart, brought to you by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. Now, Carol very nicely said, call to get information, and now she will tell you how.
Yes, so if you have a child around or a grandchild who thinks they would like to do a gardening program, just give a call to 920-906-4620 and ask for the Junior Master Gardener Program, and they will mail you an application form to fill out, and then you can look at it and see what it's all about. We meet 13 times starting in April, and we end like the last week in August. We do it after school the first 4 weeks, and after that it's in midday.
fun stuff for the kids to learn and do, and ends up being a family project.
And I like new kids every year, not the same ones coming back. So
There you go.
920-906-4620.
And now we get dormant,
Yes. Now we
as
can-
promised.
Yes.
Well, I just said during the break we got it's dormant oil season, and what that means is it's a great opportunity to spray primarily fruit trees, because you're spraying on the branches and you're not spraying on the fruit. And so those of you that like to organically garden, and oil isn't a chemical per se, it's it actually smothers the scale insects and things like that, because it just creates a coating. And what's the reason you want to use dormant oil spraying right now is it works out great on a day when you can go out and spray when it's above freezing. Now it would probably work this afternoon when it's 26 also, but you spray, and then as it freezes on overnight, and that just prolongs the effectiveness. And of course, if it rains, you have to redo it because it washes it back off. But and it'll handle some moisture, some raining. But the idea behind it is if you spray it when it's above freezing, and then your sprayer isn't getting clogged up, and then it freezes on, it stays there for a longer period, long enough to smother out the insects that are in the scale insects, or like the egg masses that are there. So and you're spraying on the branches instead of spraying it on the apples, pears, cherries, whatever you're spraying it on the branches, so you're not spraying it on the fruit that you're going to be harvesting and eating. So that's why we like dormant oil spraying. So
You carry that?
yeah, we actually have it in a couple different formulations, because sometimes it's easier to, for the most part, it works out the best. In this case, we have it in a concentrate, and you mix it up in a 1 gallon sprayer and spray it that way. And I'm not sure I haven't quite gotten up to speed here yet on everything at the new season at Rademann, so I'll have to get myself, find out what we all have available. Some years we aren't able to get certain configurations. But, there again, too, there's a dormant oil is a dormant oil, and it'll work for fruit trees, it'll work for everything. So if you don't have to have a fruit tree dormant oil. If you have a dormant oil left from last year, and it doesn't say fruit trees on it, you can still use it. Use it interchangeably on anything. All your dormant oils work the same. So,
Alrighty, and a quick question. We got a few minutes left. 923-1450. I should mention that in case you got a last-minute question. What's a good time of the year for lawns for grub control?
well,
But it's a pellet thing, isn't it, or is it a spray, or what is grub control?
Well, we're ahead of the season pretty much right now on anything for lawns.
I know,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to plan ahead.
And if you have grubs, there's a couple of different ways to go at it, but for the most part, a dormant application would be the best, because it's going to wipe out the egg masses. So, but right now with the lawns are still, it's almost the worst thing to do anything with your lawn right now, because some areas of your lawn are frozen, some are thawed out. So you start spreading something on your lawn at this time of year. Well, then it rains a little bit, and part of it ends up flowing around. So we got to get the frost out. It's got to be dried out a little bit. So we're way early for step one. It'll be at least a couple weeks. We'll be doing the show again before I think it'll work for step one, because as we're getting these, the frost is coming in and out. That's a problem. doing anything with any lawns.
Yeah.
So,
But I didn't know what if it was a spring or summer or a fall application for grub control. I had no clue.
Well, you wanna
I know
keep-
nothing about grubs except
Yeah.
grubbing around a little bit.
yeah, and you want to. It's a special application too. Your step one does not have really insect control built into it, so you would actually have to have an application, or put in, a spray or a granular that you would spread that would have an insecticide built right into the formula. Your step one doesn't have that. It's got crabgrass control, it's got fertilizer, but it doesn't have an insecticide in it.
So probably sometime in spring.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
And so I would say, generally sometime after you do step one, which would probably take place generally around here. You're putting step one down towards the end of March, first part of April.
Okay.
And last year, a couple of weeks earlier than that. But typically, we're a few weeks early yet on step one. So.
All righty.
But he could spray that, like cut it so it's shorter, and then the spray gets in better, or
Yeah, and it might even be ahead of any time you'd be
Okay.
mowing yet.
okay, that would be
even.
all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, at least I can put it in the planner.
Yep.
Because I'm assuming somebody told me that if you can lift the lawn a little bit, the roots are short and there's probably grub damage.
Yeah, you can actually it'll be kind of spotty, and if they're eating the roots is what they're doing. So yeah, you can lift on it, and you'll actually it'll come right up instead of it being holding together.
All
So,
righty. You know what that means.
sounds like we're
Das
done.
Ende.
It sounds like we're done for today. So anyway, check us out on YouTube. It'll be Landscape Smart 25 is what you'll be searching for. Rademann's not open today, open until 4 o'clock Monday through Friday. The next show in 3 weeks on March 22nd.
Yep.
And that's about it. What else you want to talk about?
Well, we just had a lot of nice calls and things today for our first show,
We did.
considering we just kind of jumped in there. Yes.
All righty. Hey, our thanks to you for your calls. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Carol. Thanks to Ron. And again, we'll see you in about 3 weeks. Jerry and Karen Schneider are next on KFIZ Fond du Lac. Have a great weekend.